I believe Bleach also has 3 main eras. The one I'll be looking at is the Middle Era, which starts in the middle of the Soul Society arc and ends in the middle of the 1000-Year Blood War arc. Most of my images will come from the Arrancar arc. I'll start with facial thirds. In this style, the middle third is often the longest for males and females. Chad is a rare exception, where his lower third is the longest. Some male characters have their middle and lower thirds around the same length. In one image, Renji's lower third is the longest, but in another, where his mouth is closed, the middle is the longest. In general, the lower third seems to be closer in length to the middle third for men compared to women, meaning that they have longer jaws. For a character like Toshiro, who has a childlike face, his face actually has all equal thirds. It's childish compared to men, but masculine compared to women. The eyes come in all kinds of shapes. The top eyelash is always thicker than the bottom. More feminine women like Orihime and Rangiku have extra strands of eyelashes, while less feminine characters like Rukia don't. For most characters, the outline of the eye tends to be noticeably wider than it is tall. A lot of male characters have slim outlines, while bigger outlines are reserved for feminine or younger characters like Rukia, Orihime, and Toshiro. There's always a space on the inside, but sometimes there isn't a space on the outside. For example, Rukia and Toshiro only have a space on the inside most of the time, while Orihime almost always has a space on the outside and inside. Ichigo switches. For the eyeballs, they can be oval or circle. Oval tends to be for characters that already have big outlines. Ichigo switches between circle and oval during the Arrancar arc, and by the time the Fullbring starts, it's only a circle. For men, the eyeball usually has a pupil in the center and a shine in the top left corner. Very serious characters like the Arrancars will never have a corner shine. For women, their pupils are larger, but they can also have the top half of the eye colored black, like many other anime. Orihime is seen with both. Some characters like Renji and Ikkaku have eyeballs so small that they look like dots. Most characters have drawn eyelids, Ichigo doesn't. Now, the eye gap. The space between eyes is slightly less than an eye's width, never more. Sometimes it might be half an eye's width, because their eyes are already wide. For the nose, both nostrils are drawn, assuming they should be in view, and the center of the nose is drawn top to bottom. From the front, it looks like a slight zigzag. From a slightly turned angle, that line might wrap around both nostrils, like with Renji or Ryuken. The center line for the nose is shorter for younger and feminine characters. Rangiku's is a little longer for a woman, because she is supposed to look more mature. Her jaw is also longer than the average woman. Speaking of jaws, for jaws, men have longer jaws with flat chins. Women have rounder jaws with sharp or round chins. For lips, there's usually a thin upper lip drawn in addition to the mouth. For more feminine characters, there might also be a bottom lip. Rangiku always has this. Haribel has this as well. Orihime sometimes has it in the final arc. A unique thing about the style is how low the mouth is placed, or it might be how the face is drawn. In a standard face, there is a point where the face starts changing angles to go into the jaw. I'll call that the turning point. In realistic faces, the mouth is usually placed around that line. If you look at these anime faces, despite their abstracted faces, the mouth is always placed above that point. In Bleach, that mouth is consistently placed below the turning point, making the faces look longer. Either the face turns earlier than in real life, or the nose and mouth are placed lower. For the hair, they are mostly silhouettes with some bunches of lines inside to add texture. These lines are about 2 or 3 beside each other. For black hair, they are all black with a zigzag shine pattern. For height, these characters are very tall. I believe 6 heads tall is the norm for humans and anime characters. Aizen is 8 heads tall. Chad is 4 heads tall in this image, but the groin is the midpoint of most humans, so that means he'd be around 8 heads tall. But those two are over 6 feet. Let's look at the shorties. Hitsugaya is 4'4.5", yet he's 7 heads tall in the Fullbring arc. That's taller than the average Naruto character. Hiyori is the exact same height as him. In this arc, she's 6 heads tall. Rukia is slightly taller at 4'9". She's about 6.5 heads tall in the Arrancar arc. This length doesn't stop at height. The anatomy of Bleach characters is long in general. Arms, torsos, legs, hands, fingers, they're all long. There's one thing I see in this art style that I don't often see in manga styles. In Western art, there's this concept of the 3 types of lines: straight, C-curve, and S-curve. Bleach implements this by having these long, sweeping, unbroken curves and lines. The style often sacrifices realistic clothing folds to get these long lines that can only be described as sexy. Look at Aizen in this pic. From his shoulder to the bottom of his coat, that is basically one unbroken S-curve, and it looks so good. Look at the Shinigami posing in the Fullbring arc. All those long curves just look so appealing. Ichigo's torso and arms sometimes look like tapered C curves. This minimalism can be a result of tight clothes or loose clothes. It doesn't matter, Kubo will find a way to draw them. Look at the simplification of Shinji's pants into curves. There are little folds like behind the knee or the waist, but they are sparing and rarely interrupt the flow of the outline. Look at Uryu's dad. Look at Ulquiorra. The straights and curves look so good. Folds usually only show up in select places, like the top of the thigh, the elbow, the shoulder, and the back of the knee. Look at how simplified Orihime's figure is. Even the breasts are simple C-curves, no folds or extra details to distract from the minimalism. Look at the Espada. Even though their clothes hug their bodies, there are barely any folds to interrupt the beautiful lines. These Uryu pics also have smooth lines. Kubo also has a go-to way for drawing some folds. He has this whistle shape, and then he has this one spiral fold on the shoulder. The whistle appears on shoulders and elbows. The spiral usually appears around the armpit to the outside of the shoulder. For shading, the style uses hatching and cross-hatching. This Grimmjow pic has one layer of hatching. These others have 2 layers. The second layer is slightly at a different angle than the first. A major difference between Naruto and Bleach is that Bleach's shadow follows the form. In Naruto, the hatching is slanted no matter what. In this style, the lines will follow the direction of the object that's being shaded. His shading is a lot more chaotic and sketchy. Kubo's main location for shading is the neck. He also has this technique where he draws a few form shadows on the edge of a round surface to indicate that it's round. Look at Nell's chest, Grimmjow's shoulder, his arm, or the bottom of Uryu's arm. The line work in this style is clean and has obvious line weight. It looks great. Bleach loves to use solid blacks. For Shinigami pants, there will be white spots drawn with a brush texture. For the upper half, if there are white spots, they are usually drawn more cleanly. He uses some white lines on the inside of black items to separate details. For clothes, it's not to the degree of Naruto. Bleach will show where the chest is for Bankai Ichigo and Chad, and it will often separate 2 different objects that are both black, but it won't really draw folds with the white lines. Bleach's middle era has a beautiful art style that is probably my favorite in all of manga. Everything is elongated, and the use of long, unbroken lines and curves looks magnificent and majestic.